Ipswich Town 1, Manchester United 1. That is how Ruben Amorim's first game as Manchester United finished. His team came flying out the traps and got that early goal through Marcus Rashford, but it was Hutchinson who levelled things out, and that is how the game finished afterwards. Ruben Amorim had this to say: "It is a tough league. My players were thinking too much during the game. You can feel it, not just on the ball, but where they are supposed to be on the pitch. We are going to suffer for a long period and we will try to win games. This will take time. I know we have to win games." Has he realised now that it will take longer than he was thinking, or did he already know?
I think he already knew. Listen, and a lot has been made of Amorim's preferred formation of three at the back, and while it wasn't too much of a departure from what we've come to see of Manchester United against Ipswich, I think he's kind of inching towards his preferred way of playing football. And with that comes everybody, not just the defenders, but everybody having to take up different positions and play different roles where, for different scenarios on the park. That comes with time. It's not going to happen in the first game. And we knew that. We knew Amorim is not going to come in and all of a sudden it's going to be Manchester United of 98-99 that eclipsed Newcastle at the top of the Premier League, that 14-point lead. We knew it wasn't. We knew it wasn't going to be that version of Manchester United. This is part of the process, and I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone who really has been paying attention.
Frank, how hard is it to learn a new system as a player like this in the middle of the season when a new coach comes in?
I'm sorry, as a football player, you have to be ready to accept any changing of tactics, and playing at three at the back or four at the back, it's just a kind of an understanding between the players. It's all about the three at the back, and I listened to Stevie yesterday during the show. He was explaining everything perfectly in a way that the three players have to slide from one side to another, and the two wing backs have to make sure that they work a little bit but don't come too down, because otherwise it's not a 3-4-3, it's just a 5-2-3. It doesn't mean anything. It's not the same system. So they have to understand that. Maybe Amad Diallo is a little bit too young, but Diallo on the other side should understand that. But it's really up to the three at the back to slide from left to right in order to compensate the fact that they're not four, they are only three. But come on, it's not a big deal. And I didn't see that yesterday. We already said before the game that it would be a problem because they don't have the individuals maybe for that. They're not fast enough to cope with that. They don't understand maybe enough that tactic, but really it's not really a big deal. It should click very quickly, or otherwise they will have big problems.
You know, we always talk about the difference of the new era, of the new football. And one of the worst things about the new era and the new football is that players today have to be spoon-fed. Players today need to be told exactly every single thing they need to do all the time, because they don't take the responsibility of working it out for themselves. You know, Frank's talking about when he played, and I played the generation before Frank, where you had to work it out yourself. You were helped along and you were told, but you had to work it out on the field. Because when the game starts, you don't have a manager sitting there spoon-feeding you all the information. You can't keep looking at the bench and keep looking around, and you've got to figure it out quickly. And when you play for Manchester United, you better have a football brain that is able to do that. But unfortunately, it looks like not just Manchester United players, but too many players today, the younger guys in particular, they can't handle something like this, a whole new change. You know, you've got to embrace it, and you've got to use the football intelligence you have to make the best of it until it becomes natural.
Let me say, I disagree a little bit. I think while that is true when your defenders are Nicol and Hansen or Leboeuf and Desai, but when you're talking Mazraoui and De Ligt and Evans and Lissandro Martinez, that's a different conversation altogether. So while I get the point that, yes, modern-day footballers you know, should be able, or sitting back in the day, you could make that change. Good footballers could make that change quite easily. I've played in teams where we couldn't make that change in the drop of a hat, as they are today. And again, this is not Manchester United of old. This is the Manchester United that are sitting, what they 14th, with good reason. Because they aren't good. Because they can't make those changes. This, for me, I think, while I get the point that Frank and Steve are making, I don't think this team can. Well,
obviously, they are in the bottom half of the table.
I just want to say, yeah, just to give you an example, when we had to play at Old Trafford, at Anfield Road, against Liverpool, and you had somebody like Michael Owen who was very fast and everything, we used to play a 3 at the back because we had, I think it was Fowler and Michael Owen, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe somebody else with Michael Owen, but we wanted two centre-backs to mark them and me to cover those 2 players. So we play at 3 at the back to make sure we can get the counter-attack, because we knew that they will put pressure on us. And we wanted to offer a possibility of counter-attack being higher on the field. But we had 2-3 training sessions to work on that. We knew how Michael Owen was working, and we had to deal with that. And we had Albert Ferrell, which was a right back, playing left centre-back. That was the personnel we had, but he was an international Spanish player, smart enough to understand how Michael Owen was working and being able to cope with the situation 3 days after working on it. So it's why I say, yeah, it's maybe not the former time, but we are talking about international players. De Ligt, Evans, Mazraoui are international players. They should be able to cope with that.
Ian, I want to bring you into this conversation, especially with the fact that he said they're thinking too much, which is understandable when it's players trying to play in a new system. But as mentioned, we are coming up to the middle-way point of the season. This is a precarious time to be bringing a new system into a team that needs to be climbing up that table.
Yeah, it is, but that's what he does, and that's why they've appointed him, and it's going to take, miracles take time, don't they? It's going to take time for this team to evolve. It's good he's got Luke Shaw fit again, because he can play left of a 3 at the back. They've still got Maguire to get fit again, and they've got this guy they spent 50 million on, Lenny Yoro, who's not played so far, but he's surely going to get in the team. They haven't spent that kind of money on him to leave him rotting on the bench. So it will be interesting. There will be extra personnel to play with. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take at least, I think, to the end of this season and into next for Amorim to have this team playing and imbue his ideas, his tactics, his mentality more than anything, and start a new culture at Manchester United. It's a long job, and it's probably not going to happen overnight. Well, it's definitely not going to happen overnight.